Let's talk to Nav in New Zealand. Nav, you're live with Eric and V.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Nav. Well, my name is Navdeep, but you guys can call me Nav if you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Oh, wow. I've never been on a talk show, so that's interesting, actually. So it's 6 a.m. in New Zealand. I'm speaking from New Zealand.
Rock
Wow,
on.
thanks for calling in so early.
Yeah.
I especially woke up to talk to you guys.
Oh, yay. Well, what did you want to talk about?
I just a bit about me. I'll take 2 minutes to explain why I want to have this question, what I have. So I'm Indian, and I was born in India. People by default believe in God, and so I used to. But in India, you believe in all sorts of gods, like Christian God is true, Muslim God is true, Hindu God is true, and Sikh God is true. I watch your shows a lot. It is experience in Talk Heathen, and some other clips like epistemology by Anthony Magnaboscus.
Yay! Yes.
So when I came to New Zealand like 9 years ago, sorry for the shake in my voice, I'm nervous.
No worries, take your time, it's okay.
I talked to somebody here who was a Christian. He's a very good soul. I mean, he's a very good friend. And he taught me a lot of things in New Zealand. So nothing against him. But we entered into a conversation in which he said, if you're not a Christian, you're not going to heaven. And me just saying that, because I used to believe in every God. And I was like, well, that's not right. Because if you're saying that only your book will take you to heaven, and no matter how much good things I do, and I still go to hell because I'm not following the same book, it kind of triggered me. It's like, we had a good long conversation. I mean, that was the first time I actually thought about God in a real sense, like how it impacts other people. And then, fast forward, I work in IT, and one of my colleagues suggested that people have to touch the paint if you tell them that the paint is wet, and they believe in God regardless, or something along those lines. And I started thinking, and then he used to watch Atheist Experience, and then he will say some things, and I was like, oh, that's funny. I mean, why would somebody believe in so ridiculous? But then I never measured it with what my beliefs were. So I started watching Atheist Experience, and of course your guys' feeds were there as well. And so I watched a couple of hosts. I like the preciseness in you guys put the things together.
I appreciate it.
I mean, it wasn't
I appreciate it. How can we help?
So what happened now, since I consider myself an atheist now, I end up talking about God or to my dad and to my cousins. And sometimes I think I'm getting a bit too hasty, like how I am, in a way, like I like to think about things. Whereas the other people that I know, they're just not thinking at the same level. And sometimes it gets hard because they believe in God and they're saying things which technically aren't going to happen just because they just believe in God. For example, COVID, it'll be God's will, or, it'll be God that'll fix it and all that stuff. So it kind of discrediting the great doctors that working together to get rid of it. So, yeah, I don't know. You guys were Christians, I presume.
Yes.
And I don't know how you guys talk to your family.
Oh, yes. How do we talk to our family as atheists when they are Christian?
Oh, okay.
Okay, that is a good question. I'm glad we got there.
And man, it takes time.
I'm sorry. Sorry to
No, that's okay. That is okay.
Yeah. So I know that it's not going to be super, super helpful, but it completely varies based on your relationships with those people. There are some family members who are not going to want to talk about it. at all, and my advice is don't talk about it with them.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to plenty of atheists who are like, well, how can I get them to become atheists? How do I get them to just listen? It's like they have to be willing to listen. You know, so for people who don't want to have that conversation, leave it. I know it sucks, but leave it. As far as people who are wanting to talk to you, be patient, because the thing is you said something interesting a little earlier. You were talking about how they weren't at the same intellectual level, but that's just not the case.
Yeah,
it is just not the case. You can have incredibly intellectual Christians and believers of all types. The difference is they may not have thought critically or looked critically at their religious beliefs, or, you know, applied skepticism in the same way that we have. And so when we are applying that skepticism, you know, that's how we're getting there. It's not because that we're at a higher intellectual level. It's because we're just applying skepticism in a place that they haven't. And so starting there, realizing, hey, you know what? Let's give you the tools so that you can get there. That is going to be the most effective way generally. What do you think, B?
Yeah, I think that if you're watching Anthony Magnavasco's stuff, if you're talking about street epistemology and studying how to have those conversations, it's a great first step. And definitely that is modeling a positive conversation that can hopefully open up both people's minds and facilitate greater understanding. I would kind of echo what Eric says about making sure that you're only talking to people who want to be talked to, and also that you are only talking to people you want to talk to, right? Because that goes both ways. So in the same way, we would advise against approaching someone who clearly doesn't want to have this conversation with you and kind of pushing that on them. I would also encourage you to put up a little bit of a boundary between you and maybe some theist family members or friends who are maybe pushing you into conversations you're not comfortable with. So even though it is very important, it is an important conversation. It's one we should always be having if we can, if we're safe, if we feel up to it. That doesn't mean that it is more important than making boundaries, respecting other people's autonomy and consent, right? So as long as you're doing that, as long as you're clearly communicating with your family, here's what I'm comfortable talking about, here's what I'm not, I say go for it. And just be open-minded, and they will follow suit, hopefully.
Yeah, be that example. So hopefully that helps, Nav. Nav, hello? Oh, sounds like he has dropped out, but that is just fine.